high creatinine, try these 5 foods before it's too late. You got your blood test back, and one word jumped out at you. Creatinine. Maybe your doctor said it was slightly high, or maybe you looked it up yourself and now you're quietly worried, not sure what to do next. Here's what most people never get told. What you eat every single day has a real impact on those numbers. In this video, I'm walking you through 5 specific foods: a humble vegetable, a well-known berry, red grapes, garlic, and a simple breakfast swap that can genuinely support your kidneys and help bring creatinine down naturally. So let's start with the first food, and honestly, this one might surprise you. Cauliflower. It does not sound exciting, I know. But when it comes to kidney health, this quiet, ordinary vegetable is doing some serious work behind the scenes. Here is why it matters. When creatinine levels are elevated, it usually means the kidneys are under some kind of pressure. They are working harder than they should be, and part of that extra strain comes from having to filter out too many minerals at once. 2 minerals in particular, potassium and phosphorus, can really pile on the pressure when they build up in the bloodstream. Most vegetables carry a fair amount of both. Cauliflower does not. It sits naturally low in both potassium and phosphorus, which means your kidneys do not have to fight as hard after a meal that includes it. Think of it like reducing the traffic on a busy road. The road does not disappear, but things start moving more smoothly. And that is exactly what you want when your kidneys are struggling to keep up. Now, beyond being gentle on the kidneys, cauliflower is genuinely nourishing in other ways too. It carries a good amount of vitamin C, which supports the body's natural ability to manage inflammation. It also provides folate and fiber, both of which help the body function cleanly and steadily. So you are not making a trade-off here. You are not eating something bland just to protect your kidneys. You are actually feeding your body well in the process. The best part is how flexible it is in everyday cooking. You can steam it and serve it as a simple side. You can mash it the same way you would potatoes, which makes it a brilliant swap for a higher potassium option. You can roast it with a little olive oil, and it develops a warmth and depth of flavor that feels nothing like a compromise. Some people even blend it into soups to add body and creaminess without adding anything heavy. You do not need to be a skilled cook to make cauliflower work for you. A little heat, a little seasoning, and it fits into almost any meal without any fuss. Before we get into the next food on this list, I want to ask you something personal. Have you recently had a blood test come back with high creatinine? And right now you are trying to figure out what you can actually do about it naturally? If that is you, type the word 0 in the comments. It only takes a second, and it helps me understand exactly who I am making this content for, so I can keep bringing you the most useful, practical information possible. If you are watching this because someone you love is going through this and you are trying to help them, type the word 1. Either way, I am glad you are here. And if you want to keep receiving honest, straightforward guidance on protecting your kidney health naturally, make sure you subscribe to the channel and turn on the notification bell. This kind of information does not always find people when they need it most, so staying connected means you will never miss something that could genuinely matter for your health. Start small if you need to. Add it once or twice a week and let it become part of your regular routine. Which brings us to the second food, and this one is something most people already enjoy without ever realizing just how much their kidneys are benefiting from it. That food is blueberries. And if you already eat them regularly, that is genuinely good news for your kidneys, even if you never knew it until right now. Blueberries. Here is what makes blueberries so valuable in this conversation. One of the main reasons creatinine levels creep upward over time is inflammation. Not the kind you feel after an injury, but a quieter, slower kind that sits in the body without making much noise. It builds gradually, often over months or years, and the kidneys absorb a lot of that pressure silently. By the time numbers start showing up on a blood test, that low-level inflammation has usually been there for a while. Blueberries are packed with natural antioxidants, particularly a group called anthocyanins, which are the same compounds that give the berry its deep blue color. These antioxidants work by neutralizing the kind of cellular damage that feeds inflammation. They help calm the internal environment that the kidneys are operating in, which over time takes some of the burden off them. What that means practically is this. Eating blueberries regularly does not fix everything overnight, but it consistently moves things in the right direction. And when you are dealing with elevated creatinine, consistent small improvements are exactly what adds up to real change. There is another reason blueberries earn their place on this list. They are naturally low in sodium, phosphorus, and potassium. So just like cauliflower, they are not adding extra work for your kidneys while they are helping them. That combination, protective and gentle at the same time, is exactly what you want to be looking for in kidney-friendly foods. Fitting them into daily life is also easier than most people expect. A handful thrown into porridge or overnight oats in the morning takes about 10 seconds. Blended into a smoothie with a little water or oat milk, they disappear into something that feels more like a treat than a health choice. Even eaten straight from the fridge as a snack, they are satisfying enough to keep you from reaching for something less helpful. Frozen blueberries work just as well as fresh ones, and they tend to be far more affordable, which matters when you are trying to make changes that actually last. The third food on this list is one that many people enjoy without ever thinking of it as a healthy food at all. But the science behind what it does for the kidneys is genuinely worth knowing. Red grapes. They are sweet, easy to eat, and most people already have them in the house without giving them a second thought. But what goes on inside those small, deep-colored fruits is genuinely impressive when it comes to kidney health. To understand why, it helps to know about something called oxidative stress. Now, that phrase sounds complicated, but the idea behind it is actually quite simple. When the kidneys are under pressure, the cells inside them start to experience a kind of internal wear. It is similar to what happens when metal is exposed to the elements over time. The damage is slow, it is quiet, and it is cumulative. Left unchecked, it gradually weakens kidney function and pushes creatinine levels in the wrong direction. Red grapes contain a natural compound called resveratrol. This compound works directly against that process. It helps protect kidney cells from that slow internal wear, supports the body in managing the kind of pressure that builds up during stress, and helps create a more stable internal environment for the kidneys to function in. You do not need to understand the full biology behind it to benefit from it. You just need to know that eating red grapes regularly gives your kidneys a form of quiet, consistent protection. There is also a practical reason they sit so well in a kidney-conscious diet. Red grapes are naturally low in potassium, which we touched on earlier with cauliflower. That matters because when potassium builds up too high in the bloodstream, the kidneys are the ones that have to deal with the excess. Lower potassium foods reduce that demand, giving the kidneys a lighter load to manage each day. One thing worth noting is that a reasonable portion goes a long way here. A small bowl alongside a meal, or eaten as an afternoon snack, is enough to make red grapes a meaningful part of your routine without overdoing anything. They also pair well with a lot of other foods on this list, which makes building kidney-supportive meals feel natural rather than forced. And that is really the bigger picture here. No single food carries the whole responsibility. It is the layering of good choices, one sitting alongside another, that creates genuine momentum over time. The next food is one you have almost certainly used in your kitchen already, and it brings something to kidney health that nothing else on this list quite does. The next food is garlic. And before you think this is just general healthy eating advice, stay with me for a moment because what garlic specifically does for kidney health is worth understanding properly. Garlic. Most people have garlic in their kitchen right now. It sits in a bowl on the counter or gets tucked into a drawer and pulled out whenever a recipe calls for it. It has always been there. What most people do not realize is that every time they cook with it, they are giving their body something genuinely useful. Garlic contains a natural compound called allicin. When garlic is chopped, crushed, or cooked, allicin becomes active and starts working in ways that directly support the internal environment your kidneys rely on. It helps the body manage inflammation, which we talked about earlier in connection with blueberries. But garlic approaches that same problem from a slightly different angle. Where blueberries work through antioxidant activity, garlic works more through its effect on the body's own inflammatory response, helping to regulate it rather than simply counteract it. It also supports healthy circulation, which matters more than most people realize when it comes to kidney function. The kidneys depend on steady, clean blood flow to do their job properly. When circulation is sluggish or under strain, the kidneys feel that pressure directly. Garlic helps keep that system moving well, which quietly supports everything the kidneys are responsible for. Now, some people do worry about the strength of the flavor or the way it lingers. That is a fair concern, and there are easy ways around it. Roasting garlic whole softens the flavor significantly and brings out a gentle sweetness that feels nothing like raw garlic. Adding it early in cooking, rather than at the end, also mellows it considerably. Even garlic powder, used consistently in everyday cooking, carries many of the same benefits in a much more subtle form. The point is, you do not need to eat garlic in large amounts or in ways that feel uncomfortable. Small, regular use over time is where the real value builds. If what you are learning in this video is helping you see your kidney health differently, please take just a moment to hit the like button. I know it feels like a small thing, but it genuinely is not. That one tap tells the platform that this information is worth putting in front of more people. People who are sitting at home right now with a flagged blood test, feeling confused and worried and not knowing where to start. People who need exactly what you are watching right now, but have no idea it exists. Your like does not just support this channel, it could be the reason someone else finds the answer they have been searching for. That matters far more than most people realize. It is the consistency that matters, not the quantity. And that principle applies to everything we have covered so far. The fifth and final food on this list is one that tends to surprise people most because it involves rethinking something as familiar as breakfast. The last food is egg whites. And this one genuinely changes how a lot of people think about their morning routine once they understand what is actually happening inside the body. Egg whites. Here is the thing about protein. Your body needs it every single day. It supports muscles, repairs tissue, keeps energy steady, and does dozens of other jobs that matter for overall health. Nobody is suggesting you eat less protein. But when creatinine is elevated, the type of protein you choose starts to matter quite a lot. When the body breaks down protein for energy and use, it produces waste as part of that process. One of those waste products is creatinine itself, so certain high-protein foods, particularly those with a less clean protein profile, quietly add to the creatinine load that your kidneys then have to work through. Over time, that adds up in ways that show on your blood results. Egg whites sit in a different category entirely. They deliver what is considered one of the cleanest, most usable forms of protein available from any whole food. The body absorbs and uses egg white protein efficiently, which means less waste produced and less filtering work left for the kidneys to handle. You are still getting the protein your body needs. You are just getting it in a form that does not come with extra burden attached. What makes this feel manageable rather than restrictive is how naturally egg whites fit into a normal morning. Scrambled on their own with a little seasoning, they take about 4 minutes to cook. Mixed with one whole egg if you prefer more richness in flavor, they blend in without any noticeable difference in taste. Added to a vegetable omelet alongside something light and fresh, breakfast becomes something that genuinely supports your health rather than quietly working against it. For anyone who currently starts the day with processed meats, heavy cheeses, or high-fat protein sources, this swap asks very little but gives quite a lot back in return. Small shifts at the start of the day have a way of setting the tone for everything that follows. And when those shifts are also protecting your kidney function, they carry real weight. Which brings us to the final part of this video, where we bring all 5 of these foods together and talk about what actually makes the difference in the long run. So there you have it. 5 foods, each one doing something specific and meaningful for your kidneys, and none of them requiring you to overhaul your entire life to make them work. But before you close this video, there is something important worth sitting with for a moment. When a blood test comes back with something flagged, it is easy to feel like the situation is already out of your hands, like the numbers have taken over and there is nothing practical left to do between now and your next appointment. That feeling is completely understandable, but it is not accurate. What you put on your plate every single day is one of the most direct forms of influence you have over how your kidneys function, not the only one, but a real and consistent one, and that is something nobody can take away from you. Cauliflower gives your kidneys breathing room by keeping potassium and phosphorus low. Blueberries calm the internal inflammation that quietly drives creatinine up over time. Red grapes protect kidney cells from that slow, cumulative wear that builds without warning. Garlic supports the circulation and inflammatory balance that your kidneys depend on to do their job properly. And egg whites give your body the protein it needs without leaving your kidneys to deal with the extra waste that comes from heavier protein sources. None of these foods is a miracle. Not one of them will fix everything on its own. But together, as a steady and consistent part of how you eat, they create genuine conditions for improvement. That is not a promise of perfection. It is something more realistic and more valuable than that. It is a direction. A clear, manageable, daily direction that keeps moving you forward. One last thing before you go. If someone close to you has been told their creatinine is high, or if they have been struggling with kidney concerns and quietly worrying about what comes next, please share this video with them today. Not tomorrow. Today. Because the truth is, most people in that situation feel alone with it. They sit with worry, they do not know what practical steps to take, and they do not realize that something as simple as what they eat for breakfast could start moving things in a better direction. You sharing this video could be the moment that changes how they approach their health. That is not an exaggeration. Sometimes the right information at the right time is exactly what someone needs to feel less afraid and more in control. Be that person for someone you care about. If this video helped you see something differently today, even just one thing, then it has done its job. Leave a comment below and let me know which of these 5 foods you are going to start with. It genuinely helps to say it out loud, and it helps others in this community who are on the same path. If you found this useful, a like takes 2 seconds, and it helps this channel reach more people who are quietly looking for exactly this kind of honest, practical guidance. And if you want to keep learning about how to support your kidney health naturally, subscribe and stay close. There is a lot more coming.